love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, right? Faithfulness, and self-control. Those are the attributes, the characteristics I think that make us really special as people. So if you're struggling right now in business, if your bottom line is not so good, or if you don't have extra finance, I just want to encourage you to keep in mind that our value as people, and I think in this chamber, we understand that the value of people is much more than our finances. Although we typically get caught up in trying to help people succeed financially, the real value of our chamber members are the characters, are the characters of the people that we have. And the same is true of our businesses. When you think about a balance sheet, on the right side, similar to a personal financial statement, on the balance sheet, it has a line known as shareholder equity. Well, shareholder equity is much more, in my opinion, for a business owner or for an employee than assets minus liabilities. Equity in a business has to do with your sweat equity, your sacrifice, the value that you bring your customers. And I would submit to you that each of us as individuals and the businesses that we represent will be remembered. I mean, everybody's talking about legacy these days, right? That the legacy of our people in this chamber and the businesses they represent are going to be more remembered by most people, not by the money they made, but by the inherent value they bring to the citizens. So that's what I think as the chamber, we want to kind of remind people that, your value is much higher than what's in your bank account or your finances. Now, having said that, it's a constant battle to say, well, I have to focus on making a living, but I also want to focus on building character traits and doing good for people. And granted, it's harder to do good for people if you don't have any money. Let's face it. So money, we see it as a means to an end, a means to accomplishing much more and much deeper things than just making money. And so this social media affinity group is designed to bring you information and knowledge and practical advice and help from a team of people who are working together. Because social media is, let's face it, it's a whirlwind. It's a moving target every day. And today we are blessed to have a very special guest, Mr. John Miller, who's director of Internetic. John has been in the IT field for over 20 years. He's been in Louisville for 27 years. You grew up in Florida, but I guess you've lived here most of your life now for sure. And he's Internetic is based in Middletown. They serve Louisville, and you've helped many people at small and medium-sized businesses. So, John, we're glad to have you today, and we'll follow you. This is informal. There's no pressure or anything like that with respect. But speak to us as to what you want to talk about, and then we'd like to hear about your strategy for Internetic, your social media strategy. Maybe, I don't know if we can view your website today, but it will be an interesting ride. So welcome. We're glad you're here.
Oh, thank you, everyone. I will actually start sharing out my screen. Okay, you should be able to see my website now. Okay, I got two screens. I'm making sure my screens show my notes. Okay, so I'm John Miller, director of Internetic. As Dr. Lush said, we are an IT support and consulting group in Middletown. So if you know where the Kroger's is here, we're in the brick buildings, the two-story building across street from them that used to be Wix and is now Great Flood, I think. I haven't been to Great Flood yet. So from a social media point of view, this is going to be a little interesting because our target audience, or my group's target audience, is actually all of you. So you're going to see kind of how an advertiser or a marketing effort would try to target people, business of businesses or small businesses. So it's going to be kind of an interesting view. You can get, I guess, some of the secret sauce in there. So for our own marketing efforts, as far as SEO, our goals are usually brand recognition. It's kind of where it's trying to get our name out there so people will know our name, know our logo. There's a lot of our marketing, we don't have actually a sales staff. So a lot of our marketing is actually cold calling and going door to door. Obviously, you can't go door to door right now. IT is kind of a hard thing to sell, especially these days, unfortunately, because we all get so many calls that say, I am your IT group. And it's obviously like someone in India, and it's usually a scam. So we're also sensitive to scams these days, which rightly so, because they're constantly going on. They kind of prey on your lack of technology knowledge to take advantage of that. So it does make our marketing efforts hard. So how we kind of try to get around that, or not try to counter that, is we advertise fairly heavily without the goal of uh, you calling us, but just of brand recognition. So you see our logo on our shirts or on our website or on Facebook or whatever. Uh, so when we do eventually call you or something, you'll go, "Oh yeah, I know you're a legit company. We will bother taking the call." So brand recognition is our first thing. Website traffic, just the normal driving traffic to our site, so people can look at what we do, uh, in increasing our page rank. So SEO is kind of dark magic, search engine optimization. So part of our own social media is trying to get more traffic to our website that kind of helps elevate our rankings on Google. Because it literally in Louisville, there are probably at least another 30 or so companies just like mine. So the goal a lot of time is to make sure that when you go looking for IT support on Google, you see us. Because if you're on, like, at least on most times on Google, if you're on the second page, you're not on there. Most people hit the first page. If they don't see what they like, they move on. You have, I mean, like with most marketing advertising efforts, you have about 12 seconds as far as research goes, about 12 seconds to make your impression. After that, you're not making it. So for social media, I'm going to jump a little bit forward, back and forth. Jump anytime you want questions. Once I get rolling, it's hard to stop me just because how I am. Um, so for social media, we have really started our social media push about 6 months ago. Before that, we relied a great deal on word of mouth. That's worked very well for us. But obviously, with COVID, it's hard to do that now. People are not talking to each other as much, so you kind of turtled up while they were dealing with their own problems, and you see less like networking, like Chamber of Commerce. We have the same problem here, is where we're having to adapt quickly to using Zoom or something of that nature, where it becomes more task oriented rather than going, hey, let's just pull aside and talk about what are you doing for your IT support, what are you doing for your cell phones, what are you doing for your car fleet, whatever. So it did hurt our advertising a bit. So we started really pushing a social media recently. Recently being 6 months. Before that, we did have a website, but it was just sort of sitting there. So we did a lot of effort towards making it nicer. Um, our social media effort is a lot of we focus primarily on Facebook and Instagram right now. We do have AdWords, SEO, like my list. We do marketing through email. I don't know if I would consider email like a social media platform. That's so email to me is almost as in the same line as cold calling. It's not really social media. It's you're hoping to send out enough emails that someone picks up. Because advertising really is a numbers game. You throw out enough out there and you hope it works. If you have a storefront, like a lot of you probably do, that actually works a lot easier, because someone's driving down the road, go, I need a dentist. Oh, there's a dentist office. I can give them a call and see, or there's specialization like the ones in my area up there. Well, I guess they're all in our area. We're in Middletown, aren't we? The ones up the road a little bit from me, there's like, I call it like Dentist Alley. There's like 5 dentist offices right there. But each of them have a specific focus. One is on like children's dentistry. One is on children's dentistry for anxious children. One is adult dentistry. One is facial, the surgery part dentistry. I can't remember the word for it is. So you kind of work out your niche there, and with the storefront, it helps. We don't have a storefront. We are a consulting only group, or project only, or services only group. So we're actually in a basement because we don't need a storefront, for better or worse. So our focus is usually AdWords, SEO, Facebook, Instagram to a lesser so. Uh, we're Some hints I'll give on that is don't jump into everything at once. That's something we made sure we didn't want to do, because you want to focus on one target and do it well and establish yourself and grow from there. So we chose Facebook as our first target because it gave us a lot of really nice options for targeting very specific region or geographic areas and age groups and income groups and business related things. Facebook is really good about giving you that targeting ability, demographic ability. So we started with that. And so we've got that fairly well established. And now we're adding on Instagram. And once we get that well set up, we're going to add on LinkedIn. So myself I do most of the marketing efforts. Lance backs me up. He does the Instagram side, and we kind of the whole team. There's 5 of us in the team. So myself, Lance, Taylor, Marlon, and Leslie. They're on the other side of the office right now. We all kind of split those jobs up because marketing's hard. I mean, it's hard to you think of things that you think like, oh, this is a great idea. How do we implement this, or how do we think of ideas to begin with? So the whole team kind of helps with that. So our first part, yeah, our website. If you hopefully it's still sharing, I think it is. Though most people come to our website first. That's honestly one of the hardest things for my company is it's hard to explain what we do. Any help explaining that actually we appreciate, because if you're in it, I mean, like if you're in the technology field, it just makes sense. Like if you're a doctor and you explain things to the doctor, it's like, oh yeah, that just makes sense. You understand the terminology and the culture. For kind of the same problem with technology with so kind of the problem of technology is saying like this is what we do, because support or IT is such a wide field. It's like, no, we don't just sell cars, we don't just do this. It's like it's easier to explain the things we don't do than explain the things we do. Yeah, that's good English. So internet, as far as we go, we don't have our third product line on here. Assessments, it's not on there yet. I haven't added it. So our platform for our website, we use a thing called .NET Nuke. It's kind of like I just blank out. WordPress. It's similar to WordPress. It's a different idea than WordPress, but same basic technology where you can go and edit things. That's why I kind of like. Oh, I am not a web developer. I do talk to people who are. They built the website for us, but with .NET Nuke, I can log into it and I can tweak things very easily. I can add elements to it. I can change the text. I can add pages, and I can move things around. That's really nice. I actually worked with a guy, Patrick Ryan, down in Paducah with Reflect Media. He worked pretty well with us. I think our webpage cost us about. It's been a couple of years since we made it. I think about $2,000 when it's all said and done. And we've been adding things to it slowly. So we'll off up there. So I can add these things to it as we go and modify them. We do have assessments as one of our product lines. That is just we come in and we make sure your stuff works. I'm generalizing a great deal because I want to focus on social media and the advertising, not on what we're going to sell you. So training. Training is classroom training. Coaching is more intense, small group training. So one is like 1 hour classes. Coaching is more small groups over several days. Managed services, that's our mainstay. So managed services, that's what we have this year. It means we make your stuff work. I'm not a salesperson. I'm an engineer. We don't hire salespeople, unfortunately. Someday we'll have a salesperson. So it just basically means that rather than you having to maintain your servers and your workstations and your laptops and your websites and your voice over IP and your phone systems and all these things, you outsource it to us and we take care of that for you. And how our business works is we do that for so many people that it brings our costs down so that we can charge everyone else less than it would cost them to do it themselves. That's kind of the idea of managed services. Kind of like, I think I used an example somewhere on the website. Your power company is a managed service. Making your own power would cost a lot. But if you pay LG&E it, LG&E provides power to millions, their cost per thing goes down if that makes them a profit while you still get power at a lower cost than it would cost you otherwise. That's managed services in a nutshell. So for our website, we kind of break it down into what we consider good categories. Desktop, that's your desktop. Infrastructure, network, voice over IP, productivity, Office 365, spam filtering, things like that. Administration is usually vendor and management type things. Sport is our strips, support plans, 8x5 and 24/7. And our plans page. So that's something we try to do with our website is make things very easy or very approachable for people who don't necessarily know what they are. So a lot of companies actually won't do this, not just in the technology field in general, in the retail market or the service market. They're not going to tell you their prices. We actually have ours on down this long list here, what our prices are. The reason they actually do that is they say what they think they can get from you is what they're going to charge you. Man, that's nothing new in business there. So we tell you straight up what we're going to charge. We kind of take the different way of that. My group wants to be transparent with it. So part of our social media efforts is to show that we are transparent. So a lot of our marketing efforts say, this is what we do is how we do it, and this is what it's going to cost you. So you can make a very quick decision on this is what it costs to engage Internetic, to engage this company. We have this nice little calculator down here too. I always like playing with this. So say like if you had 10 computers on our tier 2 plan, it costs you $1,000 a month. That includes like everything on here. So our website, the psychology of this is there's actually a psychology behind this. People like to have 3 options. If you give them one option, people kind of buck against that. They just don't like that idea of I've only got this one option. I want choices. So like when you go to McDonald's or Wendy's or whatever, you almost always get the medium drink, right? Because small is not enough. I can drink more than that. Well, I don't want to. I want to lose weight, so I'm not going to get the large drink. So we get the medium. That works for almost everything. Works for cars. Works for houses. Works for food. Works for clothes ish because clothes have actual sizes, but same idea. So for our own effort, we focus most of our efforts on the tier 2 plans. Like when we're trying to sell to you, we would try to guide you towards a tier 2 plan. The margins are about the same, honestly, for us across the plans. It just depends on what you're getting. So some groups don't need all these things. They only need some stuff. Some groups need more, and we cater to that too. So that's something I would say if as you're doing your marketing efforts in your website, don't make some obvious throwaway plans on there or obvious throwaway options there. People like we're used to looking for spam. We're used to looking for the marketing efforts because we get it through radio, through TV, through email, through phone calls, through the spam phone calls because we all have all of our car insurance are expiring at the same time somehow. Through Facebook, it's a constant barrage of it. So we have trained ourselves very well to filter out that marketing, that those efforts. So we're very good as people picking up on those things. So like in our case, we made sure that these plans are fair-ish within like what we're trying to push. Obviously, we're not going to lose money on these things. So that's how our kind of our website works. So that all, as most of our social engineering or social engineering, sorry, that's technology term. I'm getting confused with myself. Our social marketing efforts or our social media efforts are pushing people towards our website because that's it just sits out there in passive income. Our phone calls, our site visits, all that, those are more active. We have to do something to do those. So we use Facebook and Instagram and AdWords on to push people to our website because it just sits there. It costs us basically nothing per month to have it out there. So it's a passive income generator for us. So the actual really social media stuff. So Facebook, they're a big one. But it's our focus right now. So we don't have a whole lot on it yet because we're still trying to get that figured out. So we have a video of me underneath the desk working on some network cables. So we have our stuff on here. I'm actually not a huge fan of Facebook's marketing or their advertising platform. It is hard to use. It doesn't explain itself very well. There are a couple of times I've been trying to put like a boost. Boosting means I've put a post on Facebook and it's not because like people following you will see it or liking you will see it, but you can boost it and it will go to everyone else. It becomes a sponsored ad for everyone else to view. And that's actually costs very little. Most of our ads cost us like a few dollars a week. So Facebook's pricing is great. Their platform is just hard to use. It seems like they've built several platforms and kind of like, yeah, let's put them all together and it just work. No, because there were several times I've tried to boost or promote an ad and it just says you can't. I was like, why not? The promote button doesn't work. Why doesn't it work?
But it asks you if you want to promote and you say yes and it doesn't work.
Yeah, like the budget's grayed out. And it's like, I want to give you money.
Yeah.
I don't know. A couple times I've had to like just rewrite it and it works. And it's the same thing. Like I just paste it over to Notepad file and paste it back. It's like, okay, we're happy now. It's like, okay, Facebook, whatever. Uh, so I'm in a visitor view right now, so you can sort of see like what our, if you haven't seen our Facebook page, it looks like. Our efforts for Facebook is to become a subject matter expert. So our Facebook, it shows we do basically weekly. We talk about scams we're seeing on emails. So a lot of them on there because those are constant. So we like to what we do is I think is this one of the good ones? The couple here I had a lot of fun with, but we go through and we tear up scams. So we tell you like that's something I don't like with Facebook is you can't like bold things. So on our actual website, so we cross post these things. That's something I recommend doing is when we make these, so you can see it is bolded here, and I can do that on my emails or anything. But you can't bold on Facebook. It's like why can't I just bold this? This makes it easier to read. We cross post though, so like our blog posts, we cross post across all of our platforms. There are programs that make that easier. Like I think Hootsuite is one of the most popular. It's fairly low cost. I definitely recommend as cross posting and adding updates to your website as often as you can. Don't do like I wouldn't do it like every day because you don't want to spend all your time doing this because you don't have time to do anything else. But enough that Google sees you doing that. That is a big deal for Google to get yourself higher up in the page ranks. Is it sees you constantly adding information to it because it goes, okay, this is not a static page. It's not old information. It's going to say this is stuff that they're adding to it routinely. We do ours about every week or so or sooner if we can get more stuff to it, but we don't put a lot of effort into it. We've got work to do. This is work too technically, but you know what I mean. So our Facebook tries to position ourselves as a subject matter expert. So when people come to us, they can see we're not just advertising stuff. We are taking these scams apart and showing what they do, how to identify them in the future. So like we say incorrect domain. So in this case, you see like I think I blacked it out here. No, there it is. It came from the wrong domain name or has the wrong domain listed on here. I think I blacked it out for customer privacy. It doesn't have a phone number. It doesn't have domain email. It doesn't have the correct email domain. And what it does, because we all kind of want to know, like, if I actually clicked on a spam email, what would it do? We're all just kind of curious that way. So we break it down. This one I was actually really interested with. Looks like this if you want to look at it and dig into it. So this one did some really cool stuff, nasty cool stuff, but I thought it was cool. So we position ourselves as an expert so people will trust us because we actually are really good at what we do, but it's hard to tell everyone, hey, we're awesome. Okay, everyone says we're awesome, but we try to show it so that over time, this is a long-term plan for this. Is we keep showing these things so that eventually someone can go, oh yeah, remember Internetic, we need support, and they've always had these really great uh, things on our website where they constantly show these things. They constantly show scam emails or ways of fixing computers. Showing you how to fix your computer does not take money away from us. At least it doesn't really take any money out of our mouths because that's a small problem. When people call, it's generally not, hey, I can't install a video card. Is my server's on fire. I need to be online tomorrow as quick as possible. That's kind of more what we handle. But we try to get more followers that way. We're not trying to blatantly advertise and spam. We're trying to say, hey, we are experts. We are providing this information as a service. Share it with your friends so we get more people on there so we get more brand recognition. So on the advertising side, this is actually our advertising back end for Facebook. So you can just see how it's working. So we've got link clicks. So try to see what it is. So that's these are our emails going out or our boosted or promoted posts. So we make a post, we promote it. So these are promoted posts, link clicks. It means we made a post and boosted it up. It's reached 2,200 people with 35 link clicks, and we spend $10, I think, a week on this. Actually, no, this one we just told it $10 total. So you can kind of set it like you want to spend $10 total, no more than that. Or you can tell it we can spend, in this case, so this one is not a boosted post. This is a flat out advertisement that shows up. You'll probably see this all the time. It drives some of our clients crazy because we keep coming up on their Facebook. It's like, sorry, it's just doing its job. So we told it can spend a max of $10 per day, so we can set the budget. So you can. It's kind of nice on these. So I do recommend paying attention to these, but don't change them constantly. Like, it's not behaving the way I want it to. I'm going to shift it. No, you have to give it really, like, for social media, you have to give it like 2 weeks to really see a trending change. If you change it like every day, you're not going to be able to figure out your trending or who you're hitting meaning who's clicking, who's engaging. So in this one, yeah, we've 22,000 people have seen it. They've post engagement means they've actually clicked on the ad because it usually says like click to view more, or it says more or something like that. I forget. So they clicked on to see more information. So 315 out of the last 40 days. Link clicks, 306 people actually clicked on the link in the ad. It usually goes, in this case, to our webpage. Landing page views means they actually went to the webpage. Post reactions usually means like a smiley face or whatever. So Facebook has some nice tools in it to tell you if it knows the information, and Facebook usually does, tell you your demographics. Of the 22,000 people that have seen it, these are men and women of these age groups. So of my advertising, I'm hitting the 65 and above bracket very heavily, which for me actually works pretty well because those tend to be management or higher CEO type people. Not as a rule, but in my experience. And you can see our placements. So where it's showing up on the page, we actually don't care that much about it as long as I see it. The location, so you can actually do like the whole country. In our case, we have ours set very specifically to only 30-mile radius of us. For a lot of people, that's all you're really going to want. You're not going to want people in Ohio seeing your retail store because they're probably not coming to your store from Ohio. And we don't want people that far away for our business. We want people within Louisville. So we tell it only 30-mile radius, ages 18 to 65, and it kind of tells us, okay, your locations is a good way of just verifying that we're actually hitting our target audience here. Though most in Kentucky, Indiana is, yeah, because of like Clarksville, New Albany, we still get some off of that. There's a nice way of seeing. I never answer these, but you can see what's going on with it.
Hey, John, on your post reactions or on any of these numbers, can you determine what sales or what new customers you got from these, or no?
Sort of. Yeah, I'm gonna call it sort of. So there are ways of doing that. I don't trust it necessarily because what I normally would do is all these like Facebook, Instagram, AdWords, SEO types of thing. They try to link that. So what it'll do is if you look us up on Google for Internetic and you click on the result and it kind of throws like a little cookie on there and it says if you actually click on the phone call number or click on our contact form, it will count that as a actual, I can't remember what they call it offhand now, but as an actual contact. So say this actually reached someone, they took action based on that. If you have an e-commerce site, you can make it do that to where, yeah, it can like, in our case, we use HubSpot for this. So jumping over to this a little bit. So when someone does click through on the, from Google to our website, to our actual website or to Facebook, we have a thing called a tracking pixel. It goes into all of our emails, it goes onto all of our websites, and it goes on the Facebook. So if you click on a link in Facebook goes to our website, it has a little tracking pixel and a little cookie. It goes on there and says, this person is Dr. Lesser. Now we can track you as you go through our website. There's a lot of creepy things this thing lets you do, but it's just a marketing effort. So if you go from Google to or Facebook to our website and then take an action that we want you to take, be it filling out a form. If we had an e-commerce page, we don't, but if you were a retail store and had an e-commerce page, it can tell that you bought something using that. So you can go back and associate these actions to one flow of actions. I don't have a good example for that right now, unfortunately. Sometimes we do, but not right now. We actually don't get, from how our site is built, we have a hard time tracking that. So like in this case, HubSpot, we actually use HubSpot for bringing together all of this stuff. So we have like our Google advertising, all of our Facebook ads, and Instagram is part of Facebook, so it shows up in this list as well because they're owned by them. So it brings all in this one nice screen for me to look at. So of the 65,000 people who have seen our advertisement, 1,000 of them, give or take, have clicked, and we've only got one contact. That's not accurate because I know because the phone calls come to me. How most of these go is they count it if you click on this. So if you click on this button, if you're on a mobile phone or whatever, or on a computer, you click on the phone number and you take an action, they count it. Most people don't behave that way. Now, myself, on a computer at least, I'm not going to click on this and call. I'm going to pick up my phone and dial it. So that kind of causes a problem for your tracking because you don't know how the computer and the phone don't know the difference. There's no a call came to you from here. Facebook can't track that. So so I call it sort of. It tries, but I don't necessarily put a lot of faith in it being accurate. So I'd say don't get if you do this and after a few months of doing it, you still don't see contacts showing up. Like in this case, you'd see the contact showing up here. Don't get disheartened from that. It's just if you have to really use your gut on that and say, am I getting more phone calls realistically? Do I feel like I'm getting more calls? Are my sales numbers going up? So we don't like in our own company, we don't use just one metric. We don't just go by contacts. We go by how many calls are we getting per day or per month? Are we seeing more prospects calling us? Are we engaging more people? Are we getting more appointments? And we try to associate that back to an advertising and marketing effort. There are ways of doing that. It's something that we don't care about that much because we're not a multinational company. I guarantee, like Kellogg's, or actually that's one of the things you see if you use Sirius Radio, like satellite radio, or I think 99 DJX does the same thing. They'll say post on Twitter using this hashtag. You'll notice that hashtag changes every few hours or every day. That's how they're telling how many people are listening at a given point of the day. So you say like, I haven't listened to 99.7 in forever. But if you say like, okay, I like that, I want to vote this song up, hashtag whatever, they say, okay, based on 10,000 people responding to our Twitter or throwing this hashtag on there, we can extrapolate that 1 million people are listening based on statistics. Math is weird. Jump back to, okay. So Facebook, I think, is pretty good for social media and marketing efforts. It's low cost. It is very customizable. It's just hard to work with. It's something we can help with sometimes. I would actually, in a lot of cases, on all of these, on Instagram, on Facebook, and AdWords. I'll show that in a couple seconds here. YouTube is a great resource. When I started learning AdWords myself, I went to YouTube and said like, setting up Google AdWords, and there are some great videos on there that help you through it. That you want to make sure to find the recent ones because all of these platforms change constantly. So you'll find like a YouTube video from a year ago and be like, this doesn't look anything like, especially AdWords is really bad about that. They change theirs constantly. You're kind of like, this is not anything like what I thought it looked like because I can't find this button now or this thing it wants me to do. To make sure you find a recent one. And watch several. If you watch this one, you're really gonna get their opinion. If you I think I watched like 20 or 30, honestly. You kind of conglomerate them and figure out what works for all these different groups. Because that's kind of the nice thing is everyone wants to become an expert, so they all put their YouTube things out there, and it kind of says like what works for them. And that won't necessarily work for you, but enough of them together kind of give you a nice path to follow. It's like, okay, this makes sense. I can at least intelligently work with this now. I say start small. You don't want to just tell it, like especially Facebook or AdWords. I say AdWords is worse about this. You don't want to tell it spend $100 a day. It will take all that. It will take any money you give it, and it will do stuff with it. So my group started small. We started $10 a week or $10 total just to see how it works, just to see how that particular marketing or a particular tactic or strategy worked for us. And then we adjusted. So we keep adjusting our strategy. So we're a technology group. We're not a sales group. So we use our technology knowledge and then we kind of apply it to sales and tweak it as we go to make it more efficient. With all the stuff, it can cost you a ton. They will find ways to get that money out of you, but if you're careful with it, you can kind of play efficiently. On our Instagram side, we actually don't have a lot on that. We're still kind of spinning that one up. Nice thing with Facebook is it owns Instagram, so like I can view my Instagram post from here as well. It just is a nice little thing. So our Instagram doesn't behave as well, or doesn't perform as well as our other posts, but it does have a different audience. Facebook tends to target the middle age and up, and Instagram is targeting it's more the younger generation. Um, Apparently, business to biz. No, sorry, I was reading some on my screen. Well, there's a we call it, like a TikTok for business now. I can't imagine my group doing TikTok for business, but if you're one target, if you're basically trying to target a much younger generation, so like near me is the that extreme Nasium type place. I'm pointing behind me because it's behind down the road from me. They would want a younger generation, so TikTok would be a good, potentially good marketing platform for them. So, yeah, we can kind of see Instagram feed how this is behaving. So we're targeting just Kentucky here.
John, do you know much about, I've heard that I guess Instagram has implemented these algorithms now. Like your stuff doesn't get shown to people unless you somehow fall into the algorithms. Do you know anything about how those are working?
Not a great deal. That's actually a hard thing to keep track of on SEO altogether. They all change the algorithms very, very often. They kind of what they want to make sure that you don't have people become experts in it, and it can game the system. So Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, AdWords, all these, they will constantly tweak their algorithms. And some it's just to prevent abuse.
Yeah.
As long I think what their goal of those things is usually make sure they're genuine posts, not just spammers. So as long as you're making your posts look genuine, because if it is genuine, yeah, it does really well. That I think is the best marketing in general. While I'm not a marketer, I work with a lot of marketing groups, so I kind of pick things up as I go. On Instagram, I would definitely recommend visual. It's all visual, obviously, because it's text and because it's on the screen. But on Instagram specifically, pictures and video perform the best because people on Instagram are looking for pictures and video. They're not looking for text. Hashtags are your friend there as well. It's hard to get a hashtag to kind of boost up, but if there's a popular hashtag and you tag your post with it as well, like keep a little weird keep a little weird. That you will kind of get your ad will kind of get or your post will get pushed into that group as well, so show up in people's feeds more often. So as far as specific algorithm goes, I can't speak to that one too much. The companies kind of keep that under wraps. So, yeah. What we do is we tweak them whenever we see a post or like one of our posts starts dropping off. Like, okay, they changed something, or it just falls off. Because it was popular, now it won't be in 3 to 4 months or a year or whatever. So we just see them drop off. Okay, so that's Facebook, Instagram. Not as social media, but along the same lines. Google AdWords and Analytics. If you have a website, not everyone might, but I definitely recommend at least having a basic website up there for a contact information for that, because nearly everyone now does not have a phone book. We go to Google. I can't remember. Every time I get a phone book now, it goes immediately recycle bin or holds up something. When people go looking for these things now, they go onto their phone or on their computer and Google it, and it gives them the phone number. How Google gets that information is usually through your website or through a business ad. So, like in a case, so make sure you go on here and so you search Genetic, you get that's our building, our address, our phone number, our hours. Make sure you type your company's name in here, and I won't show it on mine. There's a button on here. You can say claim this business. You want to do that, especially in case someone else does it to you, because that will let you add this information to it. And so someone types your name in or something similar, it will immediately show up on this right bar. That supersedes all other advertising. So you want that on there. So definitely take advantage of that. You want at least a basic website that has like if you don't have e-commerce or you don't want to have a full-blown website, you want to have at least a very basic one that says like, this is who we are, This is where we are. These are our hours. This is our phone number. This is how you contact us. Google will look at that and push people to you, and it'll do things with that, do like Google Maps and such. So you want that. Websites are very inexpensive too. Is it ours at the initial cost? Ours costs $2,000, but it also does a lot of stuff behind the scenes, and it has a lot of graphics and things on it. A very basic one-page website, you could probably get away with a couple $100 or less. Your operating costs for it, depending on where you host it, $5 a month. Hosting these days is incredibly inexpensive, so I would go with that. So it's our Google AdWords portal. So this is actually our AdWords. AdWords is kind of a necessary evil, I think. It costs more than any other marketing that I've like, except for like TV and radio, obviously. But any other technology like this type of marketing, internet marketing, it just takes anything you give it. Like if you tell it, I want to spend $10 for it, it will use the whole $10. It's not going to say like, oh yeah, it didn't perform that well. AdWords is, you have to be very careful with it for that, and because it's very picky about your keywords. So in any case, you see our quotes around it, that means it's looking for that phrase anywhere in it. Exact match means we want this specific thing. So managed order services in a, I'm remembering this right, it's been a while since I've done these. Okay, broad match, that's right. The broad match means, does it have the word managed and services anywhere in the search? Phrase match means it wants to have managed services together anywhere in the search. Exact match means we want this. So that's how we kind of drill ours down. So we have like, we want managed services rather than just managed something services. It will very often do this. That web page definitely works. Google just says it's not working. I don't know why. We've been fighting them forever about this. If you're a technology group, Google is very bad about, they're trying to combat scamming and spamming, but they're very commonly, if you do like computer repair, they will disapprove they will turn off your search or your AdWords just because they consider it scammy. It's annoying, but it's just the nature of the beast there. Make sure you keep an eye on your negative keywords. So you see, like with ours, for whatever reason, we actually get a lot of phone calls for like people that will go to University of Kentucky and University of Louisville and say, my email's broken. How do I change my webmail passwords? Like, you got to call U of L's tech support. We don't work for them. Because most people, like in our case, they will just search for IT support and click on the first result they get because they think it's UK's or U of L support. It's like, no. So negative keywords tell it if they type in eCampus or Solvent IT support, it will take our result out. It helps us kind of get rid of the results we don't want. So we don't want them because that's usually student they're not our business target. And it keeps our costs down because for a while there, we're getting a lot of charges because people are doing like Ivy school IT support, and we get charged every time they see that, every time they click on that. So that was a headache. So we got to monitor that. So how you kind of do that is, so we got to go back through and purge some more of these for us. So when we click on overview, it shows our clicks versus impressions. Clicks means they saw our ad and clicked on it. Impressions means they just saw your ad. So in the last, I think it's 30 days. Yeah, so it's December 21st. So give or take a 30-day run period. Our AdWords ad's been seen about 4,000 times with 145 clicks. And our cost per click is about $4.30 with the total cost $624. So the cost per click means we bid essentially for our advertisement to be a given place on, or to be on the Google results. The more you bid, the higher you go up on the Google results. So the difference between organic and AdWords, so like on here, so AdWords, typically these things, I don't want that. So it'll show up like here in advertising, or I'll say sponsored. I have ad blocker, so I actually won't show a lot of these, but there usually be ones over here as well on the right, say like sponsored advertisement. A organic result is everything down here. This means these did not get paid for. These are just showing up on here when you do a search. I think ours is actually the second page. Last time I looked. Yeah, there we are. So we're second page, unfortunately, still. Which, so it goes. They're, I mean, bigger companies with more budget. So if you're using, actually, let's see if I can pull up Edge. I think I can show the. Can I show the right side? Okay, there it goes. So that's an ad. So mine actually blocks us normally. So if you want to be higher on these ad results, you pay more. You basically bid for a higher position on this. Organic means just you're kind of throwing it to the wind and hoping you get higher on this based on whatever whims Google uses to build their analytics or to build their AdWords platform. So CSR keywords, how much this keyword's costing us, how it's performing, click-through rate, the cost for it. Usually it'll give you some hints on there. This one says below average click-through rate, low quality score, because yeah, IT support is kind of broad. As a nonprofit, definitely take advantage of AdWords. They have some great incentives. Last I heard, they're giving like 10,000 free dollars per month to nonprofits to throw up AdWord posts or AdWord ads. Definitely take advantage of that. The AdWords, once you make an account with them, it will, I think, require a Gmail account that may have changed. I'll have to double check. No, it's to change that. I can't remember. It's been a while since I played this. Since I established the account, I mean, Google will often reach out with their own experts that try to help you hone your results. Do take advantage of that. It's a free resource. They're not necessarily the greatest at it, but they do work with Google, so they will know more than just what we know. Within the average person will know. There are people, there are SEO companies that only do this. They do very well. Your searches over here, keep an eye on this because it's going to say, like in this case, this U of L IT services, I don't want this, so I'm going to tell it add as negative keyword. So I'm going to tell it no, I don't want that to show up. I don't want me to show up for that. So it just kind of helps drive my costs down lower. I can tell it I don't want to show up for these, so I take them out. Analytics is a free thing from Google. If you have a website, I very much encourage you to use this. You add a little bit of code segment to your web page, something we can help with. It basically helps you tell who's coming to your site, where they're coming from, what they're doing. It just gives you some strategic information. They can say, because normally if you throw a website up there and kind of like, am I getting traffic? Am I not? I don't know. If you get more calls, then yeah, you're doing pretty well. But if you want actionable data, you can put this on there and it'll tell you in a day we're getting this. So in my case, I'm getting about 20 users per day coming to my site in a given period, 150-ish, something like that. So they hit my site, and bounce rate means they hit my site and immediately left. I'm like, I don't want to be here. So 14% bounce rate, actually not bad. It's down from where it used to be. So up from where it used to be. Yeah. And how long the average duration is from being my site. 13 seconds means in many cases they're hitting my site and going, this is not what I want, moving on. That's pretty common behavior. That gives you a lot of nice stuff like where they're coming, like what they're doing, where they're coming from. Facebook, AdWords, direct means they're coming straight to your page from some way. So like a direct link. They're doing organic searches, I don't know what actually other would be in this case. Where they're coming from, obviously United States is what I want. China and India, not as much. The time of day people are coming to your site, that's kind of useful because it gives you a good idea of like, are they coming to my site during a day, during the night, during the morning? It helps if you're doing like mass mailing. If they're coming to your site from like 11 to noon every day, you probably want to hit your mass mailing that during a time too. It kind of tells you where they go when they go to your site. Look over my little ad here. So SEO is kind of a difficult thing to nail down because they intentionally make it that way. It's just what they do. On your own page, have a blog. I would recommend strongly, and update it. I would say about once a week, if not more. Just to keep that because it makes Google happy and it shows your results. It shows you higher in the results things. Links to and from other sites. So like Chamber of Commerce is really great about that because we link Chamber of Commerce and they link us. So that basically tells Google we are credible because Chamber of Commerce is a credible, trustworthy site in Google's eyes. So anything they link is considered more trustworthy as well. It's kind of like a web of trust. So as your sites become much more trustworthy, the sites you link, the sites link to you, tell Google this is more trustworthy. Because if a bunch of sites link to you, it goes, yeah, they have information here that people want because people are looking at it. make sure on your site addressing contact info. That just helps Google's web crawlers go out there and get information presented to users. So in our case, ours always has at the top. That's the thing I recommend as well. Like our phone number's at the top. This is mostly for support, but our phone number's up there. Every page we have this contact information. So you go to any of them. Bottom is always this contact form. Has our office number and our address and all this stuff. It just makes it easier. It will make it easier for people to contact you. SSL, so little symbol here, HTTPS SSL, definitely get one. Google will always increase your organic result, or will always increase your rating on their search engine if you have this. It's, I think, depending where you go, about $70 per year, and it's definitely recommended because if you go to a page that doesn't have it, like especially in Google Chrome, it will say not secure up here, and a lot of people don't understand that that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad site. It's just you don't have a SSL certificate. Sometimes don't need that. Like if you're not doing anything sensitive or requiring credentials or anything, all you are is a blog site, then you don't necessarily need it for a compliance reasons. But it's good to have it because Google will immediately elevate you on the search results because of that. Mobile friendly. If you can make your site mobile friendly, I recommend it. Not all sites can do that. Our site actually does pretty well with it. So a good way of testing it is we just make our site smaller, and every site's called responsive design. So it immediately shifts everything around. So it doesn't blow the page up. So you get a smaller thing over here. I'd recommend that because more and more people are surfing from their phone. I could actually look at analytics and tell you how many, but my gut feeling is probably 80% of the people are surfing websites from the phone rather than from a computer. I mean, during work day, obviously, like 8 to 5, most of us are on they're surfing from the computer. But the younger generation and people after hours, they are on their phone surfing. If they're on the road, they're on their phone surfing. If they're looking for something, they're probably looking on their phone first. And so having your site be more responsive to that, the weird smaller screen these things are, it helps you a lot. It actually helps your Google results as well. It does look for that, and it will increase you in the page rankings because of that. Look at my notes, make sure I didn't break anything. This video is more of me talking than listening, unfortunately. That everything I've got on here. Something we are doing for our own efforts is we're building a real recording studio. Video is great. People love video, especially the younger generation. I'm 37, so younger generation for me is actually a fairly broad range here. So I would, myself included, I would say like my own age and lower, or even above my age. My wife is 39, and she's the same way. So people don't necessarily want to read text. So videos and pictures are very popular. So in our own case, we've started building our own little recording studio. I'm calling it studio in quotes here. It's a few webcams, some proper lighting, and some sound dampening, so that we can record high-ish quality videos along the same lines of like a lot of the Twitch streamers do. It just helps you stand out. If you're not recording if I recorded in my office here, there are obvious echoes. There are static on my thing that people will notice. But if you can make yourself stand out, it helps. Our recording studio cost us, I think, about $500 total. The software, we're using OBS. It's a free software Twitch streamers use, but lets you do a lot of really cool things. We're using webcams through USB. We're using lights and sound dampening blankets from Amazon. But it's all built from Amazon parts. So you can do a lot of really cool things with that. Trying to make sure I don't forget anything. Questions? I always manage to hit these things almost like exactly in an hour, no matter what I do. I don't know how I do that.
John, do you know what is if you're doing SEO and you're paying for those keywords and stuff, what's the average amount of time you need to be? I mean, how, I guess, how long do you start seeing some results in maybe that converting to sales, not necessarily just traffic to the site where people are maybe immediately clicking out?
That'll depend heavily on your market. When you make an AdWord record, or you add a keyword to it, Google will usually have that live within 24 hours. It depends on a couple of variables there. If it's something that's controversial, or controversial means political, or just like they think is a scam. Someone will actually review your keyword first. So that can take 24 to 48 hours. Once online, it immediately works. It doesn't stick around waiting for that. It starts showing up immediately. Google's good about that. As far as your turnaround, that will depend a lot on your market, on the website, so like for small business retail, pretty quick, I would think, because like if you're selling like Yeti mugs, those sell fast. People, that's an immediate I need this now. Or say like myself, I was buying more shirts. I went on search. I bought from Staub Embroider up the road here a little bit. I said, I'm looking for it. I hit 3 or 4 results. I bought within 10 minutes. So those are quick turnarounds. For things, say, like mortgage and cars, you're talking a longer timeline between, because people are going to spend more time browsing, more time comparing. The issue difference between, I can't remember what it's called. There's actually a word for this. Impulse. It's the difference between impulse buys and long-term buys. There's a lot of marketing things you can do to help with that. Depending on like your magic numbers, like $9.99 versus $10, or if making the item more if make the item more enticing using proper lighting, or is item that's of high value or appears to be of high value, or the nicest of the site. People will typically, if your site looks well done, people will more likely get from it. Whereas like a site is, I've seen a few sites out there are just like some old flash sites that are weird colors. I'm like, I don't care what you're selling. I'm not buying it. Even saying I need. Yeah. Like I could be diabetic and you're selling insulin. I'm not buying from you. But a good site will go a long way, and properly positioning it and making the like having good pictures, have good display of what you're selling. That goes more towards it. I don't think it's a good way of saying like you'll get results in a day. It's to the whims of the consumer.
Is there like is there a point where you would tell someone at a minimum, once you activate keywords and stuff, at a minimum, give it 6 months, 8 months, a year? I mean, is there a minimum time frame because I know they say it's, that's the marathon, not sprint.
With AdWords, yeah. With any marketing efforts, I always say at least 2 weeks. For traditional media, like you're talking TV and radio, you want to give it longer. For technology media, that turns around real fast. For my own group, we adjust it give or take every 2 weeks, unless something is like really out of band. Like we see a result hitting way too high, way too fast. We're like, okay, is that doing really well? Or did we just hit something that was too close to some other term? Like one of our clients, they sell hot mix. So hot mix is asphalt for roads. Their part of their company name is Hot Mix, which is also the name of a radio station in Atlanta. So we put their ad online, had 1 million hits in a day. We're like, what is going on?
Right.
So it was like, this is not right. So oh yeah, we see. It's just we got too close to someone else's keyword. So I say don't obsess over it, because if you monitor it like every day, it's just gonna drive you crazy. It's like, think of like going to the gym on a scale. You don't want to monitor every day. You want to monitor every 2 weeks, every month. I use that example because that's what I do. I'm checking that thing every day. I usually say at least a minimum of 2 weeks. I make a change, I give it 2 weeks. And I make a change, I give it 2 weeks. Just so I can really see a trend going up or down. Shorter than that, you don't get a good trending pattern out of it. For big advertisements, we let ours typically run at least a month before we switch something. If it's something that's like time sensitive, every 2 weeks, or this thing's out of normal, otherwise a month. For technology, I wouldn't go 6 months. I would tweak it or make a new advertisement every 6 months. Probably an SEO expert could tell you, or an advertising expert could tell you differently though.
John, thank you very much. We had another 5 people on here, but I think they've dropped off now because of the time. No, because of the time. Because the substance that you've given us is terrific, wonderful. And I had a question, but I'll defer to 3 o'clock. And that would be how much would like Magna Pharmaceuticals? How much would we have to spend for SEO support? You know, we have over-the-counter drugs and dietary supplements. So from a budget standpoint, what would we have to pay Internetic? And then I think your information, though, with respect to response time has been very helpful. So maybe we can pick it up again. And Tia Lynn Scott came on, but I didn't see her in the beginning, and you were rolling, so I didn't want to interrupt you. But we want to talk a little bit. You remember her from last month, so we want to hear from her a little bit because you all gave her some terrific advice. So, John, thank you. Really good job. Thank you so much.
Rob, thank you.
We'll look forward to seeing you.
I forgot we had another one later. I probably could have saved. I forgot I'd see you again in 3.
Yeah, see you. Thank you very much. Okay. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Bye.